Okay, guys, welcome to the um, webinar for August. Here we go. Let me see how I can do this so I can still see the attendees. They changed this. Any meeting changed this on us. Now you got to see it like in the side. So if you've got chats, if you're actually logged in with a computer, you can ask questions. If you're called in, there's not really much you can do. Not even slides, but you'll get the replay sent to you, and you can watch the replay right after through your email, so you can see all the slides. And this will go on YouTube and the podcast tomorrow.
I think you can expand that window. I think it shows like a chat bubble that populates the screen when somebody has a question. Can somebody write test?
Here we go. I can do it like this.
Okay, that works too.
Okay, can we do... So how's everyone doing? We're coming at you at 12 o'clock. Thank you very much. We're coming at you at 12 o'clock. Such a reliable schedule. Better than airplanes.
Better than airplanes.
Yeah, for all the CRAs out there. I mean, right at 12, you can set your clocks to how on time we are.
The nuclear clock.
Atomic clock.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? Chris is drinking a Diet Snapple. I'm drinking a water because I had way too much caffeine today. This is an important topic, Chris. What do you think? What do you think about this topic?
Yeah, I mean, it could be important. I'm sure it's important to CRAs. They don't want to deal with difficult CRCs. It's important to CRCs. They don't want to deal with the opposite of that, difficult CRAs. It's also important to the business manager or the owner, as those relationships, I think, at least they don't hinder getting future trials.
So you actually have an interesting story, which we're going to get into, but I think there's arguably no more important dynamic other than the physician-patient relationship. And let me know in the chat, guys. Can you hear me? Let me know what if there's any issues. Okay. There's no more important relationship, I think. Thank you very much. Than the CRC CRA relationships outside of the physician-patient relationship. That's number one. But after that, I think it's arguable.
Yeah, it could be the PI CRA relationship as well. If the PI is easy to work with, right, very responsive, and not difficult, yes. I think it probably leads to some recommendations from the CRA as well.
Yes, but I think there's no more important for the success of a study than that between CRA and CRC. Wow. I've seen it make or break studies, no hyperbole.
Sure.
I've seen sites not recruit for a study because they don't like the CRA. Matter of fact, I know a site doing this right now. They have the CRA from hell that you and I both know.
We know, yeah.
That, she's senior, so she keeps going in different places. Guess what? She's causing all these problems with the site for no reason other than having a power trip, it seems like. And guess what? The site told the PI called the sponsor and said, we're not enrolling anymore. And this is why. So now they're trying to fix
specifically blamed it on the CRA.
Yeah, because it is. In this case, you don't want to be quick to say, okay, the CRA is giving us a hard time when they're actually doing their job. But in this case, I know, and you know, from past experiences with her, that this is the case.
Yeah. Very difficult. Very, very difficult monitor.
Okay, next slide. Let's see. Carlos did a good job, right?
I don't know. I didn't review these.
Bad CRA.
Did you review them?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Remember there's a last slide that indicates that he paid attention.
That he listens to the whole audio.
So bad CRA and coordinator relationships. Okay. Many research coordinators have stories about dealing with difficult CRAs. Do you have one?
Dealing with difficult CRAs? Sure.
Tell the story, please.
I mean, it's not a really elaborate story, but there was this CRA who felt she knew every in and out of the study, right? Which, as a CRA, you should probably at least be somewhat an expert on the trial, right? At least read the protocol thoroughly. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so
I like the subtle jabs.
Yeah. So
please refrain from this. Continue, Chris. Okay. We're gathered around the virtual campfire.
Sure. So this CRA, there was an amendment coming out for the trial, and she insisted that there would be these changes to the protocol via the amendment, and that our site start implementing these changes now, right? And I told her that's once the amendment's finalized, right? And the new protocol comes out. And she disagreed with me. We actually wound up yelling over this at one another.
Really?
And I stopped, I walked away, I went and got the protocol, and I said, okay, here's the current edition of the protocol. You show me where in there it says to do what you're prescribing I do. And if you do show it to me, I'll be more than happy to do this.
So how did this end?
She didn't talk to me the rest of the day.
But how did it end study-wise?
She got fired.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, not because of us. Nobody complained.
Right. So what do you think the issue was with this person?
I spoke to
like power trip, or
yeah, I think that's a common occurrence with a lot of monitors.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Like, and by the way, most monitors are not this way. Most monitors are.
Oh no, most, I would say 80% are very easy and to work with, and
yeah, they're just trying to do their job. People. They'll point out mistakes when you made them. They're not going to be excessive just for the sake of like, you know, difficult. finding problems for you so that they can have like control. Right. Which just gets into some deep psychological stuff, which we're not qualified to talk about, but we can still see the symptoms here and there. So like what percentage of CRAs you think fall into that, you know, creature from the Black Lagoon category?
Well, I mean, we've discussed this before. I think there's a range. You have very friendly CRAs, and a lot of that is, I think, because they don't get any interaction with other people, right? They're on planes and busy all the time, so they become very friendly with the site staff, right? Take them out to lunch or whatnot, right? Very friendly, talking about personal issues, that kind of thing. And I would say probably half the CRAs fall somewhere on a range of that, right? That spectrum. Then you have some that are just more professional type, where they're not really outgoing, but they're not difficult. It's just they just come, do their job. They're not difficult, and then they leave, right? And I would say you probably have like maybe 10% that are the more difficult type, right? Power tripping, power hungry, whatever it might be. Yeah. And really, maybe not intentionally, but they go out of their way to be difficult for the site.
Yeah. And we don't want to make it seem like it's only the CRAs that could be bad. In this dynamic, there could be a bad CRC.
Oh, sure.
And a good CRA.
Sure.
Or a normal CRA.
Sure.
Right?
I'd say that's more common.
Really?
Yeah.
So, as a monitor, because I dabble, I have really not come across like a situation where I had a bad relationship with a site.
Okay, how long have you owned the site?
Since 2005.
How many truly bad CRAs have you come across that are really difficult?
Like 3 or 4.
Okay, and you've probably come across 150, 200 CRAs?
Yeah.
Over that time?
Yeah.
So it's a very small percent. Right? Same thing with the coordinator, I would imagine.
I would say less than 5. Like I would, to be safe, like if my life depended on it, less than 10. Okay. Is that number. But I think it's closer to like 3, 4, or 5.
Okay. So something like 1 or 2%, 2%, something like that.
Right. But what I'm saying is there's some cases where the CRC is bad.
Yeah, and I would say that's a little higher than 2%, like maybe double, 4%.
But yeah, so I've been lucky as when I monitor that I haven't had these issues, but I don't monitor that much. You know, the worst I get is like CRC that won't do what I ask, but they're not combative or, you know, trying to like prove that I'm wrong.
It's not a personality thing.
Or trying to get me fired. Yeah, because there's some CRCs that try to get their CRAs fired. Sure. Like they have a power trip.
Sure.
You know, so the CRAs who don't get along with their sites will often find that they don't get their queries resolved, don't get quick responses to emails, don't get much time with the PI. And I want you to share your story on the next slide when we talk about good CRAs. Because you have a good story about this.
Well, I don't know if that's because she's a good CRA, but she was a nice and friendly CRA.
Well, the same thing, Chris.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Sometimes the CRA has difficulty dealing with sites. Large sites might not give CRAs much time, even though the data is good and only minor findings are identified. Or even if the data is just average, you know. CRAs might have trouble working with busy coordinators or PIs. This is true. I have experienced this as a CRA. You don't get much time with the PI. You don't even get much time with the coordinator at one of my sites, and it's a very large institution. And their data is not like it's great. But it's okay.
It's passable.
So I get my job done. I do the minimum communication that I can with the PI and coordinator. I would do more, but they're not available. And that's it. Like, the study still goes on. The data goes through, and it comes out the other side. How the sausage is made.
Sure.
It comes out on the other side, hopefully good enough for FDA.
So, as a CRA, from that perspective,
because at the end of the day, that's what's important. I think we get lost in all this emotion, but at the end of the day, that's what the CRA and CRC's function is.
Sure.
Right? Produce good data.
Acceptable data to the FDA.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. What were you going to say?
So, from your perspective as a CRA, limited as it may be, but way more than I have, do you think it's better as a CRA? Would you prefer to work with a site similar to the sites we own, right? The setup we have, or would you prefer to work with a university per se?
I like the mix right now because I like for sure I would pick the smaller sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over larger sites where you have no interaction or very little with the PI and the CRC.
Yes, although you could get in a situation where your small site are people that you don't like, and then you have the worst of both worlds.
Which happens a lot. I've heard a lot of stories from CRAs.
Yeah.
Where they just hate going to this site.
And the PI is like talking to you every hour about, something that you're not doing right. And then the coordinator, I've heard those kind of things too.
Well, I've heard the opposite of that as well, where the PI just is super busy, a smaller site, but they're on site, right? It's their clinic. And the CRA will, want to meet with the PI before they leave from their visit. And the PI just starts yelling at the CRA, right? Don't waste my time.
Yeah.
Basically, get the hell out of here.
And sadly, if they're a key opinion leader or just a PI that the sponsor likes, they're going to use them for more studies.
Yep.
They don't really care how that site makes the CRA feel.
Unfortunately, that's true.
It's the reality, right? The CRA is, at the end of the day, it sounds brutally cold to say, but they are replaceable. They're a commodity. They're just a necessary evil to do the study, to get the data. Sponsors are trying to get rid of monitoring. It's not gonna succeed, in my opinion. And I do a lot of today in clinical research stories where I read the news and talk about how that affects us, in practical terms. They're trying to even get rid of sites and do virtual trials. It's not going to be successful, I think, in the short term, in the next 10 years. Who knows after that, even 20 years. But the sponsor could care less, really. As long as when the sponsor gets concerned is when it starts affecting enrollment and maybe the conduct of the study, where these relationships. Otherwise, 95% of the time, if you're a CRC or a CRA stuck in a bad relationship with the opposite party, you're on your own. And you got to dig into your toolbox of psychology, which you're not trained on. Well, some might be, but most are not. And figure out strategies for how to cope, how to deal.
From the CRC perspective, perspective, let me get this word out. They have a tool if they have a bad CRA that a CRA does not have if they have a bad CRC, right?
Yes.
And that is, most sites can request a CRA change one time throughout a study, and they'll usually be granted that change. We've done that a couple times, right? Twice
here where we're sitting right now.
Right.
I've done it. I don't know if I've actually done that in my other clinics.
But that's a tool of CRC.
I might have done it once, and it was because it was affecting our payments. Because the CRA wasn't reviewing data quick enough. In this case, she was very slow, and it was affecting the revenues we were receiving because the revenue was based on her checking SDV.
Right, 100% SDV.
Yeah, and then I asked, and we got someone who was really good, and it made a world of difference.
Right.
in that case. These days, sponsors are a little better at paying sites.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Next slide. It was still bad, Carlos is very negative here. He's putting all 3 slides in a row. Bad CRA,
Yeah.
CRC. A PI may not want to enroll in a study if they do not get along with the CRA. This is going on right now.
Yeah, you just told this story.
At a site I know.
Yeah.
They literally have the monitor from hell, who's on power trips everywhere she goes.
Yeah, every visit.
Yep, and she's threatening the site with the sponsor audits, like she usually does.
Mm-hmm.
And the PI said, "You know what? We're not enrolling anymore." She called the medical monitor of the sponsor and said, "We're not going to enroll anymore because of this person." So to be continued how that's going, because this was last week.
Well, if they're happy with the site, they'll probably remove the CRA.
She's a key opinion leader.
Yeah, so they probably want them actively involved, the site.
But it is California. They're having a hard time getting CRAs.
Yeah, nonetheless, they'll find somebody.
Yeah, they will. This may cause sponsors to lose money. This is when the sponsors get involved, right here. I don't know if you could see my cursor. And by the way, guys, in the chat, let me hear stuff. Let me see stuff. Let me know if you have questions, stories. We can read it out loud. Let us know what you're thinking in the chat. Okay, it's very quiet in the chat. Keep it. Let's get it a little louder. Okay, so when the sponsors get involved, when it's starting to cost them money.
Sure.
Right, because losing patients.
Any delays are costing them money.
Every day is like $1 million of a clinical trial, right? Being spent on a study.
Yep.
Go Niners! I love that comment, David. I agree. Hopefully Jimmy G is
the real deal.
Yeah, let's see. Time will tell. Okay. Keeping the CRA may be more of a liability, and having such a CRA around other sites may lead to other problems with sites. Do you agree with that? Keeping the CRA may be more of a liability, and having such a CRA around other sites, yes. So this example of this, literally, there's no other way to describe her other than monitor from hell.
Mm-hmm.
Is she does this everywhere she goes.
Right.
When she was first doing it with us, I just thought something's wrong with our coordinator.
Right, and then we found out that after she was replaced,
yes,
that replacement CRA said that there was a number of sites that complained about her, and we didn't complain to anybody because that particular trial, thanks to Dan.
Thanks to me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The previous CRA was also a slow CRA, and we weren't getting paid as
that's right.
as was expected. So you had a conversation with the PI and had her ask for a replacement.
Yeah.
And then we got the monitor from hell.
Wow.
So they said, okay, you want a replacement? Here's what you get.
Hey, my theory still stands. Cash flow is king.
Sure. But also there's another, I forget how the expression goes, but something like the devil you know
yes
is better than the devil you may get, or something like that.
Than the one you don't know.
Yeah.
Another slide on bad CRA and CRC relationships. Unbelievable, Carlos. Research naive sites are more likely to commit errors which the CRA needs to address. We just had a phone call.
Sure.
With someone who needs to be one of our clients desperately.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's in the Site Owner Academy, but I would give him an F so far on the operations. I would give him an A in business. I would give him maybe a D. I'd give him a D in the operations. He needs to get his act together. Okay, research naive site. I told him he's on a one-way ticket to losing his PI, his first PI, if he keeps going this way, because the CRA, he has a good CRA, is finding errors which the site should not be committing.
Right, and the
constant corrections. Yeah, constant corrections may give the site the impression that the CRA is too demanding, but it's not. Imagine if you had one, okay? When I was in this person's shoes in 2005, I was my first study as a coordinator when all the other staff basically left, and it was just me like holding up all these studies. I had no idea what I was doing, kind of like this person we spoke to earlier. I had a really nasty monitor, like mean, but she wasn't on a power trip. She was just, that's how she was.
How she communicated.
Yes.
She Eastern European or something like that?
She wasn't. American. Blue-blooded American. But it took me several visits to realize, okay, she's actually trying to help me. So that's okay. And she trained me like really well. and she wasn't trying to cause
So
problems.
she actually was a good monitor, as it turns out.
She was
for
good,
you.
but she was nasty. That's why I used that word nasty.
Mm.
Not bad. I had another one at that point, which was leaning on the bad spectrum. But I was being trained by this person, so I kind of knew what to say. And then the other two, luckily, were good ones.
Mhm.
So it's tough to get when you're learning. Like, sometimes it's just luck. You know, if your first study is with this monitor from hell, that's not going to be good for you because you're going to make
Especially
mistakes
the
no matter
PI.
what.
If the PI is research naive, he may never ever, or she may never ever want to do another study again.
That's right.
So here's what I got to deal with.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
very, like, there's a lot of luck involved with your first study and how that goes. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Yeah, I really liked my first monitor as a coordinator.
I didn't like mine at that first, but later I did.
Well,
I appreciated it. It's
he
like
wasn't-
having a strict parent.
Yeah, mine wasn't nasty, but he knew his stuff, and he was always, kind of educating me. Right?
Was this the same guy that tried to give you edibles?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. It wasn't. Hey, you're an idiot. Like sounds like your monitor.
mm-hmm.
It was more, hey, you're not doing this right, and this is why we do it this way, right? Kind of thing.
We have an interesting comment here. Considering a monitor makes twice as much money as a coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I love my monitors that buy me lunch. I never mind working through lunch if it's free. Okay. I mean, I feel you. I understand.
Sure.
I love lunch too. But, you got to remember if they are like an independent contractor that's like buying it out of their own pocket, they have like a per diem. Man, we've had monitors buy us lunch. That has not been the case in the last
Recently.
like 8 years.
Less than that, like 5.
Usually it's the sites. Well, it used to be the sites buying the monitors lunch.
Right.
So it depends. Some CROs used to give the CRAs like the permission to buy lunch.
Or per diem, in which
Yeah.
they can spend $50 for lunch, and it's fine.
Yeah, but thank you for being honest, because this person said they'll work through lunch if they get, they'll help them. So, it's almost like a business decision at that point if you're the CRA. Like if I have this coordinator who can make my day easier, if I buy them a sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
And a Diet Coke, then I'll do it.
Sure.
Because it's it might be money out of my pocket, but am I willing to pay $20?
And I get done
$30.
2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Right. Less stress. So yeah, it's a business decision too. Now some CROs and sponsors have rules against sponsors and CRAs buying lunch for sites, but most don't. And sponsors usually do. Sponsors are more likely to do that if the monitor is from the sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another one, but very good comment. I appreciate the honesty. And hey, who doesn't want a free lunch?
Yeah.
Right. As a relatively new CRA, I'm concerned with being slow until I gain more experience and pick up speed. What advice can you give to new CRAs in working with sites who are used to more experienced CRAs? Yeah, very good question, actually. Actually, extremely good. I've never been asked this before. And it shows a lot about you for considering. That means you have a lot of empathy. You're considering how the sites, perceive you and
Right.
and how your actions are affecting the site. So I think everybody, no matter how experienced you are, when it's a new study, it's going to be slow. Even a new CRA or an experienced CRA, when it's a new protocol, everyone's learning the ins and outs.
Sure.
When it's hopefully you're picking up speed with that protocol as you move along. I think learning the protocol is the most important thing for you. And then having a system to where you can SDV and SDR as like 80% of your activity if it's a high enrolling site. And then the other 20% should be regulatory and IP accountability, because sites don't get paid based on what you're monitoring on regulatory and IP.
Right.
So as long as you're not sacrificing the SDV part, which usually triggers site payments, I think you're going to be okay. So I think most of your time needs to be spent on that. But yeah, it's going to be stressful when you're starting out, because that's, you have to learn not only a new protocol, but you got to learn a new framework for how to do your job.
And a lot of this is establishing systems. I mean, a system that works for you, like you had kind of alluded to.
In your case, maybe buy them lunch.
Right. Or
if you can
you maybe stay a little later or come a little earlier than you are?
Yeah. Try to be in your case, like when you're newer, and I really like this question. I might do like a mini video on it. Try to be more helpful rather than policing the site. And even let the site know, hey, I'm focusing right now on SDV because I know that's how you guys get paid, and I know that's important for you. If they're a small business, it's more important than if they're a academic institution, which they don't care. But if they're a small site, say, hey, I need to spend more of my time on SDV, so can you please make sure that these action items on regulatory and IP is clean, so I don't need to waste too much time on that.
That's good advice.
But a good question, very good question. Another one, how many subjects do you consider a high enroller? I have no experience as a CRA, just getting into it. Depends on the study, okay? Every study is different. You could be a high enroller with 5 patients, and you could be a high enroll, and you could be a low enroller with 50.
There's a simple formula to that, to answer that question. So, and when the sponsor initially starts the trial and they're going around selecting sites,
Yeah,
they give you numbers, right? They say we're gonna have 40 sites and we need 200 patients enrolled, right? So they want 5 patients from each site. That's going to be your average, right? So
yes.
if you're double that, that's a high enrolling site.
Yeah,
So if it's 10, but 10 in other trials is not high enrolling.
So your job as a site, if you don't want to be an outlier of a high enroller, which would be smart if you're new, is to either look for the newsletters when they send them, so you can keep kind of track on, okay, where are you as far as enrollment? Are you top 3? Are you in the middle? When you're new, you want to be like in the middle if you can. If they don't have newsletters, you're gonna have to ask your CRA. How's enrollment going in the study? And you don't have to wait till the monitor comes to your site. You can call them.
Yeah.
You can call the project manager. Say, hey, I'm just curious how enrollment's going. I want to make sure that we're meeting our expectations when it comes to, project managers never get these kind of questions. They would love that.
Yeah, you probably don't need to do that. It often has it in your contract. How many patients are you contracted for? But your point is you don't want to be top 3 enrolling.
That's right. You want to have intel as to, okay, how am I doing relative to everyone else?
Yep.
It's if you can do that for other metrics, you could, but you just can't. Like if you could figure out how many AEs or how many SAEs the average patient gets in that study, which you're not going to get, but you can try to get some of that intel from your CRA. Say, hey, the other sites you monitor, are you noticing like how many SAEs do you notice? And then if they say 7 and you have 0, and
screen failures,
you're becoming an outlier. Same thing with the screen fail rates, right? So there's a lot of like one-on-one with this kind of stuff. So high enroller is really based on study, not across the board. Hopefully that helps. Let's see, another one with bad CRA CRC. Can you believe this? This is like
Carlos was loving the bad CRAs.
7. Yeah. What's going on with Carlos? We need to give him some CBD maybe to feel better. Bad CRA and CRC relationships. Fortunately, tension between CRAs and coordinators is becoming less common than it was in the past.
Is that true?
I think he got this from a podcast where we kind of go off script. Maybe I've noticed it less because I'm not dealing with CRAs anymore.
Yeah, you don't deal with them at all.
I still do, but not a lot.
Minutely. Minimally.
Yeah, so this one might be an optimist's point of view.
Sure.
CRAs are more agreeable.
I don't know if that's true either.
I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask. Let me know in the comments, guys. If what do you think? Is this slide off? Or is it the same?
I think these are dependent upon operations at the site, right?
Yeah.
So a CRA is going to be more agreeable if the site's doing a good job, right?
Yeah.
If the site's has poor quality or doing a poor job, not taking care of their follow-up items, the CRA is going to be less agreeable.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends. I think one of the reasons why people may be thinking this is true is because monitoring visits are less frequent now because of technology.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you're seeing them less, so they appear like more agreeable, even though there's still the same degree of disagreeable when they come in, but you just see them less. So I think technology's been helping a lot. EDC, you can do almost like a SDR remotely with eSource. So it remains to be seen. Regulatory EREG is changing things, changing the game. So maybe we are going to see better relationships between CRC and CRA. Very interesting. So here we finally get into the good. Okay, so we got it from the bad. Now we get to the good. Everyone's happy here. It's like all the webinar listeners are on here. Okay, holding hands and looking at the sun.
Beautiful.
Okay, how a CRA benefits from a good relationship, right?
Harmony.
Yes, look, everyone's so happy here. Okay, this is what we want. This is our goal. So, obviously, CRAs with good coordinator relationships may have an easier time getting help from coordinators.
That's absolutely
now
true.
You can tell us your Disney story.
Yeah,
okay?
I agree with that. I think that's 100% true.
Please, I need to log into this portal while you tell this story, but everyone's gathered around the campfire.
All right.
And you need to share
breaking
your
out the
story.
marshmallows.
Yes. Grandpa Chris is going to share a story with you. Okay, Chris, please.
Okay, so the story Dan's referring to, the first study I worked on as a coordinator, this female CRA was very friendly, very kind, had no issues with her. One day she had my cell phone number. One day she gave me a call on a Sunday and said, "Hey, I really have a huge favor to ask of you." And it just so happened I just spent about 2 hours driving with my family to Disneyland. We live here in Southern California. At the time, I lived about 2 hours away from Disneyland. And we had just arrived. And she said, I really need this done today. And I said, well, unfortunately, I'm here at Disneyland with my family, and my wife would kill me if I left, right?
Okay.
So I dragged everybody out of here.
Yeah.
Does this have to be done right now? And she goes, well, no, just as long as it's done before midnight your time, right? I was like, okay, what is it? And what she explained was some issues in the EDC and needed clearing up, and it needed to be time stamped before midnight. So I told her, I can't promise anything, but I will make an effort to leave here a little early so I can be home in time to take care of those things. And I did. So I left Disneyland a little bit early, got home in time to take care of the issues. Now, the thing here is, if I did not like this woman, because it really was more her fault. She should have called the site on Friday and said, hey, these things need to be resolved, or sent an email, something like that. Shouldn't have waited until Sunday. But hey, CRAs are extremely busy. Things get overlooked. So if I had not liked her, I would have simply just told her, I'm at Disneyland. I'll take care of this tomorrow at the office. The fact that she was friendly and likable made it so where I was more than happy to go out of my way to make sure something got done for her. Right? Because in this industry, the CRA is often held to blame. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yes, they are they are always the one with that gets the short end of the stick when it comes to the sites or the sponsor.
Right.
Or their lead.
Yeah, they get blamed.
Yes. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so we got another comment. I have always greeted my CRA with a smile and a welcome, and they in return have gone out of their way to assist me in becoming a better CRC. Very good, very good. I have always looked at a monitor visit as a way to improve what I do. See, very good. This is the way to do it. This is how to have a positive attitude. This is how to improve. Okay, like this is a growth mindset, right? Not a scarcity mindset. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very healthy and beneficial to your CRAs as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in time, it would be beneficial, I'm sure, to the CRC.
Okay, so let's see. Any more slides? So basically, your story basically summarized this slide, right? Like CRA was able to get urgent things done during off hours.
Oh yeah.
Even when Chris Auber's at Disneyland.
With his family.
On Splash Mountain.
No, literally we had just arrived when she called.
I have much the same experience. Monitors that demand something immediately often knew about it way ahead of time and make it urgent when you're stuck in clinic and can't answer queries. Yes,
that happens all the time.
I know. It's human nature. This is just human nature. Like the path of least resistance is what people do, right? So when you're on the path of least resistance, you're going to try to get someone else to do your work. So you're going to say, hey, I don't need to be proactive and do it at home. I can do this when I'm at the site because I'm going to have this coordinator who also wants me to buy her lunch. I can have her do it.
Sure.
And you know what? Maybe if they buy you lunch, she would do it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm with you there. I'm with you. I hear you. And you do get that a lot. And within reason, you should oblige with what they're requesting.
Sure.
But if it's, and there's a fine line. When is it inappropriate? When is the CRA abusing their authority? It's a fine line. I don't know. Because there's a lot of dynamics there.
Well,
there's a lot of variables.
Don't we all kind of have a compass? Maybe not a compass, but a teeter-totter in our head? What would be a better way of putting
Seesaw?
that? The thing that goes like this?
The yin and the yang?
Yeah. Don't we all have that, and we kind of gauge what's normal from prior relationships?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you can kind of tell when CRA is overly exerting their authority, right? Comparatively speaking, to prior relationships with CRAs. Now, does that make it a time to complain to their superiors? No, probably not, so long as it's manageable, I would say. But there's also nothing wrong with having a conversation with your CRA as well. I don't think so. And just saying, I try and do what I can for you, but at times you become overly demanding.
Yeah, just be careful that they're not the kind of monitor that, if you give somebody, like if they're testing you in the beginning of the relationship, okay, I'm going to see if this coordinator is going to do a little bit of my work for me, and then you say yes, then the next time they're going to ask you for even more. And pretty soon, you're doing what you shouldn't be doing. And you also have your own duties. Sure. As a coordinator. Sure. So I know some CRAs that expect their coordinators to drop everything when they're there, including other visits going on with patients, to appease them. And I think that if that's the case with you, you've got to stand your ground and say, no, right now I'm not going to be with you because I have a patient visit. But if it's something urgent, send me an email and I'll read it when I get to my desk. And then I'll try to finish it before the day's over.
Yeah, seems fair.
Can you talk about knowledge of the CRAs? It used to be back in the day the CRA knew the protocol frontwards and backwards. But now we get CRAs that know nothing about the protocol and even less about the science.
Are you laughing because that sounds familiar?
No, I will not confirm or deny that rumor. Yes. What do you think about this, Chris? Let me do this really quick while you talk for a
Well, actually, I do. I believe that to be true.
I'll give my opinion after, but let me do this.
I believe that to be true. But I think that's where CRAs are overworked, right? They just don't have time to read all the protocols. They may be assigned to 6 different studies. And it's very difficult with all the work that's expected of you to know every aspect of the protocol. It's not possible. Is there any downside to this? Sure. They're not an authority, so when a coordinator calls, they don't readily have the answer to whatever the question of the coordinator has. But usually most CRAs are knowledgeable enough of the protocol that they can find the answer relatively quickly. At least that's in my experience.
Yeah, so my answer to this is supply and demand. Okay, just 2 words and an ampersand in the middle. So right now we are in a period of unbelievable growth in the research industry, and more studies than we've ever seen. Next year is going to be even more studies than we've ever seen, and we're not growing the same rate with the amount of CRAs that are entering the workforce.
Right, so they're overworked.
Yes, they're overworked, and the new ones that are entering are less knowledgeable,
Sure.
because they're new. Like, that's what happens. So that's what I think is the reason behind that.
Yeah, basically the same answer I gave.
Yeah. So the inexperienced sites, if you're a CRA monitoring an inexperienced site, be ready. Training is important. Like, make sure that they're following the GCP and the protocol. Learn and identify inexperienced sites from the beginning. Okay, a lot of sites lie on their feasibilities.
No, you don't say.
Yes, they do.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on in this image, but it looks scary. Can you explain this?
A helping hand. Somebody's falling.
Okay, good. It looks better. We got another comment. Comment about that. This is from a new CRA. I find that the training expectations for CRAs are not realistic. They are expected to learn all the SOPs, IWRS, I guess, TPO systems, etc. It can be overwhelming, and yes, CRAs are pushed out there, even though maybe not ready. It's been self-study training when on-the-job experience not readily available. See, this is good. We're getting an opinion of a coordinator.
Sure.
Okay, opinion of a newer CRA on the same topic. They both have their points. And this is where I think it's going to make your relationships better, no matter what side you're on, by understanding the struggles of the other side. It's not all about you. Okay? No.
Oh.
It's not. I think if you can understand that, you're going to make any situation a little more manageable.
Sure.
Maybe a lot more sometimes if the other party shares the same philosophy as you, but at least a little bit better. What do you think as we continue to stare at this picture?
Yeah, I mean, of course. You need some empathy. Even it's been a long time since I worked as a coordinator, but when I did, I understood that even at that time, CRAs were very busy. And oftentimes, as a CRA, you need to understand that your coordinators are very busy as well. And they do, most do. That's where a previous question or slide, it becomes irritating when CRAs are very demanding of a coordinator's time. But most are not. So it's really a matter of empathy.
I think that's the big one. So another question, hold on, I can't read today. So then, why does an entry level require 2 years minimum experience if there's such a demand? So that is oxymoron, because entry level means 0 experience. Now, I know what you're saying. A lot of times,
you could be experienced in the industry as a coordinator or something else.
I know what you mean, because they have all these like study coordinator, research assistant roles. They're always asking 2 years minimum. That doesn't mean you can't apply. Okay, it's supply and demand. Just because you see 2 years of experience on a job posting, and you have a year and 6 months or a year, doesn't mean you shouldn't apply.
I've had a number of students get hired.
People can ask for whatever they want. People can ask for anything they want.
Yep.
The market will dictate what's the reality. Okay, so that's my opinion on that. I want a lot of things. I mean, I could put stuff. Yeah, I want a lot, but the market's going to give me what it's possible. Okay, so that's there's more slides. Carlos did a very good job. Okay, you read this one.
What?
Yeah, read this one and give your commentary.
All right. If you have a good rapport with CRA, the CRA might go out of their way to provide solutions whenever your site makes mistakes. Oh, and that's absolutely true. I think most CRA, that's true.
Give an example.
I don't know if I have an example off the top of my head, but that is definitely true of most CRAs. Well, actually, I do have an example.
We need examples here.
I don't necessarily think this is a good example, though. Had CRAs find errors that could be troublesome to the site if the sponsor found out, and advise the site to correct these errors, and they weren't going to report them. Something along those lines.
Okay.
So, I mean, that could qualify there, I suppose. Not that I advise that of your CRA, if you're a CRA listening. We'll remind you about sponsor priorities or protocol requirements in order to help your site's good standing. Yeah, also true. A lot of CRAs, they keep a log or a spreadsheet of all the things that are required, and it's updated regularly, and they let you know when those things need, say, GCP training needs to be renewed or something along those lines. CRA may recommend your site for future studies. Also true, I just don't know how true that is. How true is that?
It's true depending on, again, everything varies. Like if you're in a situation where the sponsor knows that you monitored that site before and it's another protocol, same sponsor,
they
they're
come
going
to you
to
and
ask you. If it's the lead CRA, they should know these things, so they're not going to ask. Like if it's a new sponsor.
I think really,
if it's the same sponsor, yes.
Getting into that vein of ideas or topics, I would say the most important thing is enrollment numbers, right?
Yes.
To getting recommended or getting future trials from the same sponsor.
And in fairness to the slides, it does say may recommend your site, which is true.
Right.
It's 100% true.
Sure.
Let me know more in the comments. This is such a juicy webinar. There's lots of stuff. You're making me hungry with the lunch comments.
I think that has more to do with your 40 hours of fasting than the slides.
Yeah, I hope. I'm going to see if we have a monitor here at the site, and I'm going to ask them, okay, if they were, I would ask them, can you bring me lunch? And we'll spend more time with you.
I'll be more helpful.
Yeah. Okay, what's this slide about? Let's see. How a coordinator benefits from a good relationship. Well,
free lunch.
Here they let a lot of things slide when they normally shouldn't. If you are, if you have a good CRA and you let them know, hey, okay, I'm overworked, but this is how it is, and they could probably relate to. You're gonna establish a rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's very important, because then they're gonna try to help you, as opposed to like finding and can't wait to find something wrong with you so they can report you and throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
You want them to help you out. This is the utopia of CRC CRA relationships.
And a CRA who's doing their job 100% correctly can still frame things in their report in such a way that it does not make your site look as bad as they could make you look. I mean, I honestly believe that, right?
That's right.
When you write reports, you can frame it in such a way that it's either very negative on the site or only slightly negative on the site.
Exactly.
Right?
The same fact can be made to look horrible, or just something that's normal.
Right.
And that goes a long way, especially with inexperienced sponsors who are relying on the senior CRAs to write these reports. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know. Got quiet all of a sudden. Everyone talk about lunch.
Yeah, everybody's hungry.
Okay, one more slide. I don't know if this is the one that's important. Carlos did pay attention. So he gets to keep his job, because I told him in the podcast.
I was there.
If Carlos, give me a signal that you listened to this whole thing when making these slides. And at the end, I put, I want a purple slide with a high down. So it's there. And Carlos, you're good, man.
Yeah, good job, Carlos.
Yes, we're going to get you lunch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know where we're going to find him lunch, but sure.
Okay, anyone else? 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. If the questions are good, longer. What's going on? Was this good? Was this informative? Did we forget anything? Let me know. We're going to wait a little bit. Chris will tell another story, maybe.
He will?
I don't know.
We tell him a fantasy football story?
And we're going to do a mock draft today. Yeah. We're going to do a mock draft. We have students here, so we have CRA Academy interns. So we're going to take them out to lunch. Speaking of lunch, we're going to take them out to lunch. We're going to train them on how to be good monitors in the future. Okay. We've got more questions, so keep them coming. well, give them a pitch about our business development services. I did the CRA Academy one. It's great.
There's no side owners here. There are CRCs and CRAs.
Yeah, there's side owners on here.
Oh, there are?
A lot.
Oh, okay.
I see them.
All right.
I see the lurkers.
All right.
They're
good.
there.
So we offer a monthly service, and it's all inclusive. I mean, you get so much. It's overvalued to the sites and the business owners. I mean, you get so much,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
For $1,000 a month, you receive business development, you receive budget and contract negotiation,
Yes.
SOPs. Dan and I are readily available for any questions that you may have or need advice. We'll prepare your source documents for you for any study. And these all apply to any study you acquire, not just studies we bring to you. And we have a ton of clients that have been with us since we started doing this. Not everybody, but most everybody's very happy with what they receive for this price point.
Yes.
And our biggest competitor, and their name's escaping me at the moment.
And somebody said a free copy of the book, which is true.
And that's for our students.
Chris gave the asterisk. Chris blocked it. Very good pitch. I got another question. Okay. I am working towards a CRA position. However, no one is giving me a chance because I have no CRA experience. I am a CCRC, which is very good. Certified ACRP. That's no easy, that's no walk in the park. I have a bachelor's in science. I have 10 plus years of experience. Currently, I'm director of research department. I continue to apply, just like you mentioned earlier, all about demand and supply. Do you have any suggestion on how to break through? Yes, you need to tweak your CV. I don't do this except for our students, but email me and I will look at your CV and give you suggestions on how to fix it. Yeah, we'll do it because we want you as a CRA, all right? Because then I want to interview you as a success story. So email me and we see. I guarantee you it's just the way you're positioning your CV. Because there's no way. There's people with 0 years of experience and a bachelor's of art that are getting CRA jobs.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a matter of what you're positioning your CV as, and you need to add more things. You need to cross-pollinate. Okay.
Cross-pollinate.
Yes, when you're a director, you go from just being a coordinator to overseeing. Maybe some of your tasks are site training and quality assurance. I don't know.
Quality assurance.
And then maybe that's what CRAs do?
They do? Quality assurance? Is that what they do?
Somebody said, interesting. Does that offer apply to everybody?
No, you just stuck your foot in your mouth.
Okay. If you buy me a sandwich, I will stay longer and do it. Now, anyone who's on this webinar can email me. Just tell me you are live on the webinar, and don't lie. If you're listening on the podcast, I will know if you're a liar.
It's only available for the next 3 days.
No, it's available like the next 3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours.
There you go. That's how to keep
the
yes. If you
the rest of the day.
If you send it to me in the next rest of the day, because this video won't go on until tomorrow, I'll know you were live. I'll know you were real.
Exactly. Okay.
Anyone else on YouTube? Hey, you gotta get on and start asking questions. Okay. My email is dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Just go to theclinicaltrialsguru.com and you'll find it. I'm here live. Very good. Very good. Very good. We're going to do some CVs.
Yeah, fun.
I'll give you guidance on what to add. It's not that hard.
Sure.
I'm not going to redo it.
You're not?
I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you.
So you're not going to go the full step like with our students?
If they're truly struggling, yes.
Oh, very nice.
With our students, I make it really nice. We pay for this service to make the nice CVs.
Right.
I can't do that. I got to, come on. I'm a human.
Okay.
Okay?
Not a robot.
I'm here. Yes, I know if you're here. Obviously, I know you're here, Bella. You got to email me if you want the CV.
Today.
Okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Everybody have fun. Everybody go smile when you see a CRC or a CRA today.
And buy sandwiches for people.
And let them know that you learned how to better interact with them because of Dan Sfair and Chris Arbor from the Clinical Trials Guru and DSCS Sweat Equity and Investments. And so if you're a CRC, go smile and shake a hand of a CRA. and say, I learned how to treat you better because of Dan and Chris.
Yeah, don't do that.
And if you're vice versa,
Well,
do the same
that
thing.
as a joke.
No, you could be serious.
I don't know.
Bonus points
Kinda
for
odd.
anyone that does that with proof of like a picture that
Video.
you're doing this with a CRA. I will do your CV on my own template.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so you got to do it.
Yeah.
And it can't be your own employee.
I learned how to treat you better because of DSCS.
Yes, actually do a 10-second video on that and send it to me.
But it has to have the CRA or CRC in there with you.
Yes, as proof, okay? Thank you, guys. It's my way of having fun. Who won your free book? We did have the free book, and the free books, a bunch of people got them. And the free CRA Academy, we did give it to a very deserving student. So let's see. She's currently in the class. Next quarter, we'll do the same thing. We'll have a contest.
You have any idea how she's doing?
No.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Very informative. Remember, go smile to a fellow CRC CRA. Let them know Dan and Chris sent you. And send me proof. We'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.